for the real deal New England feel.
I went up the rail. I might go down and be ashamed of myself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. There's Catone right there. He's with us. Joe's with us in the booth. You are fresh off that, coming out and watching that Commanders game. Joe was at the game looking at the Brady thing. Hopefully we'll talk about that. And you are watching us on YouTube. And when you're on YouTube, make sure you check out our short reels and give us that subscribe, hit that thumbs up. That's what we're looking for. And make sure you give us a comment. We will play it on the show. I think we're going to have a heated hotline tonight too. So, we'll see about that. But if you're listening to us, you're doing it on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you podcast. And make sure you're communicating. Get in touch with us. 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. Heated hotline. It's a message line. Leave us a message 24/7. Anything's on the table. Joe will pick one. Let's let that one be yours. Have a take, or you can email us on our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Got a good one. We're going to hear from one of you in Heated Hotline. And, of course, we're going to go back in the weekly rewind, talk about that Washington game, and talk about some of the joint practices with the Vikings. This week, we are recording on Thursday, so the game hasn't happened yet. But we could talk about the joint practices, of course. We're going to see what Mark brings to the table in Catone's comments, so stick around for that. I don't know if he's got barbecues happening today or whatever he's got going on. I see his shirt there, so maybe that's an indication. So we'll see what that's going to be about. And, of course, Yankees versus Red Sox. We always have something to say about the Yankees right now. And, of course, the Red Sox surging, not surging, leveling off.
We better have breaking news. Aaron Boone fired or something during this show.
Well, let's hope so. If we have that, we'll bring it to you. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Hey, happy Saturday, man.
Listen, we had a football game. Chris,
we had a football game. Joe, how was the game?
Oh, boy, I got to say, exciting. It made me want to be a Patriots fan again. That's for sure. It was fun to watch. The fans were out there in full effect, and it was a good time. I will say, little slow start, but like a good start.
Whoa. Well, it was a fast start to that game, wasn't it? With Trevion Henderson taking that thing back 100 yards. That seems to be the consensus, though, doesn't it, Joe and Mark, where people are just excited right now.
Yeah,
people feeling that Patriots thing again.
Yeah. Oh, I meant slow start when the offense came up, but when Henderson did that thing, it was just like electrified the place. Electrified. It was awesome.
And if you listen to our show, was it 2 weeks ago? We did our tribute to Ozzy because they played that song for 20 years when they came out of the tunnel. However,
it's bad.
Joe, were you in the stadium when they came out of the tunnel?
Yeah, they played it.
They went back to Crazy Train.
It's Vrabel. That's got to be Vrabel.
That's Vrabel all the way.
That's got to be Vrabel. So we're happy to hear that, and hopefully we'll be talking about the Tom Brady statue a little bit. Mark, are we talking about that today?
We might be. Yeah, we might.
Okay, stick around. That's what they call in this industry. They call that a tease.
Get a little tease.
So make sure you're sticking around to that. But first, we want to hear from you right off the top. Joe's got a heated hotline right off the top. Want to hear from one of you. We ready to do it?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hey guys, this is Jen from Cranston. So I don't know what to think about Drake Maye. He seems like he may just be a blockhead to not understand the situation he was in on 3rd and 7. Putting the ball on the ground in that situation is unforgivable. 16 turnovers last year, and now he's going to be playing in more games. Does he just not get it, or can they fix this fool's problem? I have no tolerance for that crap. Thanks, guys.
Fool!
Listen, she brings it. She brings it. There's no question about that. She's our best caller, Chris.
Can they fix this fool's problem? Jen wants to know. So all that positivity, Joe.
Right down the drain.
Right down the toilet. John, thank you for the call. We always like Jen. Well, listen, guys, let's talk about it then, okay? Because it's what's been on the mind of everybody. As Drake Maye goes, this team's going to go.
This team's going to go, yeah.
And it's why Vrabel's spending so much time with the offense. That's all the time he spent with the offense. In Minnesota, the 2 joint practices, 100% he was with the offense the entire time. And he's with Drake Maye every second, every minute, because and I love that. Mm-hmm. But to get to Jen's point here, so in the game, I mean, it was only 3 of 5. So, 5 attempts, 3 of 5. He had the 2 nice runs, the run for the touchdown, which really does nothing. I mean, no, the defenses are not preparing for any quarterback runs or anything like that. He's kind of unaccounted for. That's how vanilla it is in the preseason. So I don't get much from that. But so not a lot to take. The passing game wasn't front and center. We'll talk about that later on in the show as far as what we saw there. But for him, it's about that turnover, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely, positively. But because, as Jen mentions, Chris, he had 16 turnovers last year.
Yeah, 6 fumbles, 10 picks.
Right, in a condensed season. He didn't start from game 1.
Yeah.
So you could say that trend is continuing, if you want to call it a trend, because game 1, live action, even though he's, from all accounts, Chris, has had a real good camp. He's protected the ball except for a couple of times. But game 1, he puts the ball on the ground. So,
well, this is what it sounded like. It sounded like.
7 for the Pats. Henderson stays on, lines up off the left hip of Maye. Drake works with 3 to the right, 1 to the left. He takes the snap and he drops back under pressure, rolling left. He's wrapped up and he fumbles as he's falling to the turf. He was wrapped at his ankles, and the ball is recovered by Washington. He was sacked on a pass rush by Jerzon Newton, and then Drake Maye, in the grasp of the defender, falling to the turf, loses the football.
So, Bob, that's exactly what you don't want to see if you're the New England Patriots. Doesn't protect himself, doesn't protect the football. Drake Maye needs to be able to get rid of that thing when he understands that there's pressure coming at him. It looked like Washington ran a little stunt, a little twist between 2 defensive linemen up front, and guess who they caught? The 2 rookies on the left side, Jarrett Wilson and Will Campbell. A little bit of a lack of communication there ends up resulting in pressure and a turnover for the Patriots.
And those weren't starters that did that either for Washington. Let's also say that.
No, there were 29 starters out or something like that, some crazy number like that they weren't playing, the Washington. So, we'll talk about that a little bit later with the offensive line and some of the issues that are happening in joint practices as well. But with Maye, and see, that's the thing that bothers me with this. Jen hit it right on the head. She mentioned the same word that I've been using and I talked to you about is situations. And that's what it isn't that he put the ball on the ground and you heard Phil Perry on that. And that was the Bob Socci, Phil Perry on the call of the game, the broadcast. And it isn't so much that he said, well, you got to get rid of the ball. It isn't that. No, it's understanding the situation that you're in. And I think she's right. I think it was 3rd and 7 at the time.
Mm-hmm. I believe it was.
And when I say situation, okay, so what are you doing? Okay, they had a twist. The 2 rookies, Wilson and Campbell, blew it. Whoever's fault that was, I think it was Campbell. He had his stake kicked to the outside, and he didn't pick up that block. But if you're Drake Maye and you're looking at that, and you've got that situation happening, you say, all right, it's 3rd and 7. What am I going to gain from this? So if I'm able to switch hands, get the ball in the throwing hand and get the ball back to the line of scrimmage, because I'm not going to complete a pass there. I'm not getting the 7 yards. So all I'm really trying to do is save the 8 to 10 yard sack for a punt to be able to be closer for a punt. Mm-hmm. And even in the field position they had, it would have only pulled them back to no big deal for the punter to be able to pin them in that, even with the 10-yard loss, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're Drake Maye and you're sitting there and you're doing that and you're saying, what the hell am I gaining here? That's the problem I have with it. And that's why she calls him a blockhead, and I'm not going to go that far. But the point is, you got to be thinking about that. What am I gaining now if it's 2nd and 7, Mark? Okay, maybe you're trying to take a shot about getting the ball back to the line of scrimmage, so you set up a 3rd and 7 and manageable to try to get the first down later. But you're going to punt anyway. What the hell's the difference? That's the problem I have with it. Not thinking.
Yeah. And because it was, a Tom Brady night, with the statue. I'll refer to Brady. How many times did Brady see that?
Oh, pull your pants up, will you? God,
would you be quiet?
Shirt on and everything.
Would you be quiet? I'm honoring the gentleman, please. But how many times did we see him, Chris? Coil up, go to the ground, take the sack. Like he saw the pressure coming. He would go down, not even get hit, and just go down, take the sack, live for another day, punt.
Right. Like
you said, don't turn the ball over. Or if he had time, he would throw the ball at somebody's feet, knowing no one can pick it off. I'm not turning the ball over. Let's live for another day and punt the football. Those are the things that Drake has to learn, Chris, because, as Jen said, there's no excuse for what happened on that play. And he's going to learn that. And from all intents and purposes, he's having a good camp, but yet that still happened. So he's still got some stuff to learn and a ways to go, Chris, because that ball security is something Vrabel and McDaniels are going to expect.
And this is what Vrabel had to say about it. I want your take on this.
That's a bad decision. I think we're going to need better from him, and I think he knows that, and that's obvious. So, wasn't there, and we just have to be able to find a way to get rid of the football or take a sack and punt and play defense. But to the defense's credit, they, forced a field goal. I think that was missed maybe, but they got a couple. It was a sudden change opportunity.
So, what do you think of his reaction to that?
Well, in contrast to what he said after a practice last week when there was a turnover maybe in the scrimmage, I think that Friday night scrimmage under the lights, he kind of glossed over it and said, well, we did some good things and blah, blah. But not that night, Chris. That night he was like, that can't happen.
No,
right?
No. And you go back and watch it and see his face too. He's pissed. And I want that. That's what I want.
And
I want that from him.
If you notice, compared to last year, when those things happened, you'd see Maye sitting next to Brissett. No one else was next to him. Josh was right next to him with the iPad, with the Surface Pro, right? He was right there in his ear right after that turnover because they went to Maye, and McDaniels is right there. So he's telling him, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean?
And they're putting it on him. I mean, they're putting it on him. This is McDaniels. This is what he had to say.
Guys that play this position that have ability to throw it, but also to move and make plays with their legs and extend plays. They have to find that line themselves, honestly. We can tell them all we want, don't make a bad play. There's a fine line between holding onto the ball too long in certain situations and then doing the right thing to help the team. And those guys that were blessed with that ability, they're the ones that have to go out there and learn how to do that and balance it.
So
Chris, they took the
they're
kid
putting it squarely on him, Mark, which is where it belongs.
Yeah, they took the kid gloves off, right? They went from kind of boosting this guy up a little bit to now it's real game time. Now you're 3 weeks, 4 weeks away. You're a few weeks away from opening night, opening day. Now, it looks like they're flipping to, hey, we got to hold him accountable. He's the quarterback.
Well, so here's the question I have for you, okay? And we'll end the segment on this. Are they going to allow him to use every tool in the shed? You're hearing a lot this week about, are they going to let him run? Should he be allowed to run the ball, use his legs, all this stuff? Are they going to let him do that? They're going to let him use every tool he's got in his arsenal, in his shed, and all, whatever you put it. From what you just heard there.
If you listen to McDaniels, it sounds like it. He's talking about running and scrambling and getting out of the pocket and using your legs. And it sounds like it. However, he can say that, but I still think with his play calling, he's going to try to protect him from running the ball as much as he can. He's going to have to run the ball at some point, but I still think he's going to try to protect him, Chris, because they don't want him getting injured.
Yeah. See, my opinion is, I'm listening to these people out there. So don't let him run the ball. Teams there don't win Super Bowls with running quarterbacks and all that. Well, how about Jalen Hurts?
I was just going to say
the bottom line is, Lamar Jackson, Allen, Hurts. Most of the guys in the playoffs, okay, get deep in the playoffs, are guys that use their legs too.
And there's always one play, Chris, in a crucial game.
Right.
That Mahomes takes off and gets a first down when it's needed. He runs for 15, 20 yards, right? He uses his legs. It's always one crucial play in one of those playoff games where Mahomes takes off.
So this nonsense about, no, you can't let him do that. You can't allow him to that. It's nonsense. Look, that's part of his game. That's part of his talent. But putting one hand behind the back, and what people don't understand is what that opens up. You know, the threat of him being able to get out of there, that opens up running lanes. It opens up passing lanes. It's a defensive guy like me who has to sit there and try to come up with a game plan for the defense. I've got to account for that now. I've got to spend time at practice dealing with how do I account for Drake Maye with his legs. You can't take that away. You just got to manage it right. And you got to – it pisses me off when I hear people say, take something away. No. Coach it better. Don't take something away. Coach them how to do it right. Coach the mistakes away. You can do it. You guys are all great coaches. You got all these ex-NFL head coaches on this team, Brown and Vrabel and McDaniel and what's the other guy's name? The offensive line coach, Marone, Williams, all these guys. Coach it out of them. Right?
Yeah.
Don't handcuff it, though.
Even the wide receivers coach was an ex-OC. Downing was like an OC, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't subscribe to that. Use every tool in the shed, everything that it takes. I'm not saying you have to have 18 design runs in there. I'm just saying don't hamper the kid that way. Let him use everything he can do, in my opinion. We'll see. And enjoy practices, and we're going to go to break now. But, I like how he looked in joint practice because when he's got time, he's able to do things. But the offensive line's a problem. I'm going to talk about that next. We're going to talk about that next. But, Jen, thank you. We appreciate the call. As always, Heated Hotline was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. When we come back, going to go back in the week in Weekly Rewind, talk offense, defense, no flipping.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CorsoLawGroup.com.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. All right, guys. So we talked about Drake Maye at the hands of Jen. So we appreciate that call from Jen. Now let's get to the rest of it. And we're going to do that in Weekly Rewind, and we're going to do it now. I'm getting it. Going back through the week. About a Weekly Rewind.
Important is it for you that on this first game, only 2 penalties for 15 yards?
Well, we had a couple that were, really offsetting, so we still fouled them. It wasn't like we were really, really clean. I thought operationally we were pretty good. Felt like everybody was on the same page in substitution and getting in and out of the huddle. And they don't huddle, they sub, and sometimes they stand over it and sometimes they don't. So I felt like defensively that was a good challenge for us to be able to play a game like that with a team that really doesn't want to huddle. And but when you can have that many we had a few kickoff returns and did not have any penalties there. We had the one that was offsetting on the punt. Those are critical because there's so much field position that gets changed when you have penalties on punt returns and kickoff returns. So it's a good start. It's a good start for everything that we were talking about, and give us somewhere to coach. We have to tackle better, and we'll have to throw the football better going forward. But I thought that this was a good place to start.
That was Mike Vrabel after the Commanders game, preseason game, talking about the operation. Let's start there, Mark.
Yeah.
Overall organization, operation, Joe felt real good being in the stadium. He said the excitement was there, right, Joe?
Yes,
everything looked buttoned up.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
listen, they looked like, in contrast to last year, a professional football team. They were crisp. They were on the ball. They were in and out of the huddle. They knew what they were doing. They you remember a couple of those preseason games last year, Chris? There was like 3-4 penalties in a row. Remember? They couldn't get out of their own way. It was sloppy. It was, you didn't see that. And even, Vrabel still wasn't happy with what, he said, it wasn't bad. He said, but there's things to coach, they talked about the penalties, and somebody said, we only had 2 penalties. And he was like, well, no, not true.
We had 4, really, but 2 weren't
some offsetting penalties.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So he kept track of that in his mind. So, he wants this to be and to do things differently. And listen, he knows what it takes to win football games in this league, Chris. And and I will say this.
Not really different, though, is it? We've heard this stuff before.
Oh, well, you're talking about me pulling my pants down for Brady. Listen to you. Listen. So the one thing I'm going to give him credit for, Chris, is he preached at his opening press conference, we're going to finish plays. We're going to run hard. We're going to tackle. We're going to do bup. And what he preached from day one of his press conference, Chris, you saw them do that in that game.
Yeah, they did all of that.
First preseason game, right? Didn't they?
They did
and you
all
mentioned
of that
to me. You said, Mark, listen, right? During the game.
It was start to finish, especially the running back room,
right?
Offensive linemen. I mean, you had Campbell downfield. We're going to talk about the offensive line now. But you had linemen downfield finishing blocks. You had running backs finishing runs, every single back. I mean, whether it was Stevenson, and not even so much him, as much as Henderson, Gibson, Larison, who I think they lost for the season.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah,
but
Larison,
that's okay, Chris,
Webb.
because he wasn't going to see much playing time probably
No.
this year if everybody else was healthy. So it was almost like, hey, it's a red
Reminds you
shirt
of
year for
Burkhead
you.
looking at him, doesn't he?
Oh, he definitely does. And I think in their mind, they're like, oh, yeah, we get this kid a year of experience.
Right. Even though, you say, well, it's because he's wearing 34. Not so much that, just because of the way he seems to play. The point is they were the most aggressive group, I think, out of everybody, was the running back group. And so, yeah, you saw it all across the board, finishing plays, smart. Operationally, I thought Drake Maye was good. I thought the overall in and out of the huddle, no play clock issues, didn't have to call timeouts. I mean, again, the starting unit wasn't out there for all that long, but when they were, and you saw it in joint practices, and you also saw it in the Minnesota joint practices too. In the 2 practices this week, it was up and down. They said, I mean, the results were up, down. Maybe the Patriots won one day, the Vikings won the second day. I mean, you're talking about these 2 teams they played with, teams that went deep in the playoffs. I mean, Minnesota's a 14-win team from last year, and the Commanders went to the NFC Championship game. So these are quality playoff teams.
Absolutely.
And the operation overall has looked great. When you can be in practice, joint practices with these teams, and you look like you won a day or it's up and down, that's what you're looking for.
Listen, you look like you belong on the field with these guys, Chris.
Belong on the damn field last year against Philly in those joint practices. So
no, that was a joke last year against Philly in that joint practice.
I'll interject with this. I think we played an audio bit of Diggs, I think it was last week, of him saying that, the fact that when your number is called, you're ready to play and you're ready to go out there and present whatever you have for that one play. And that I definitely noticed for the whole game.
Yeah, that was Bourne. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Bourne.
Yeah. I mean, again, so it looks like they're, and I know, tomorrow we talk on the Pats Nation, we're going to have more about this. But they're definitely taking on the image of the coach, and we all like what we're seeing. Now, let's talk about the offensive line a little bit. Campbell and Wilson. Now, we played that cut
of the turnover.
That turnover, and they had a couple of issues on that, but this is what Vrabel had to say about those 2.
Will Campbell and Jared Wilson, I'm curious how you thought they did on the left side tonight, because it seemed like on the fumble that they might have missed that block, but at the same time, Will Campbell, and they were pushing guys forward. So just how you thought they did overall.
Well, I mean, I think the play demeanor showed, and I think that there was a game maybe that, a pass rush game, it looked like to me, and those are something that we'll continue to work hard on. We were able to pick them up into practice. They ran a few of them over there against us in practice. We just have to be able to carry that execution into the game. But I certainly did see their play demeanor kind of stand out, and I think that that's a good place to start is with that and being downfield and finishing through the whistle and everything that we embrace here.
Yeah. So,
Chris, what
some
does
good,
play,
some
what
not
does
so
play
good.
demeanor mean? Explain that to our viewers.
So, like, I mean, just talking about he right now, Vrabel's big on body language.
Okay.
He's very big on, okay, I understand the play I understand what we're in, the play we're in. So how am I going to act within this play and in my responsibilities? What's my attitude like on this play? So when he talks about your demeanor and how you're coming forward on the play. So if it's a run block, say, you're finishing blocks, you're downfield, you're finishing things, you're blocking to the whistle. That's that kind of demeanor. Okay. When you get pissed off at players is when they cut it off, when they stop playing. Gonzalez is guilty of this a lot in practice. He kind of stops on the play, quits on the play a little bit. That kind of mentality, that demeanor, that how am I conducting myself within the play?
Okay.
And I think that's what he's talking about, because as a coach, that's what I look at. Show me the finish, show me completion of this play, of this rep.
Okay.
Yep. And so I thought, like rookies, listen, yeah, there was a little twist that they screwed up. Okay, fine, that's going to happen. And when you're talking about the joint practices too with Minnesota, same thing. They've had a tough time. The offensive line is having they had a difficult time against Minnesota.
Day two, it was even more difficult than day one, Chris.
And they gave up 6 sacks in day one, and then day two, same
day two, same thing. But Grenard, who's a good pass rusher, Chris. He's a bona fide edge guy. He beat Campbell both days on numerous occasions.
3 times he beat Campbell on day 2, I think. Whatever day.
On
the
day
point
2.
is,
yeah, on day 2, you're right. He did.
So if you're looking at a negative of this, you come back and say, okay, well, again, this is what we've been talking about. Yeah, the guy gets downhill on running plays. Going to be fantastic out in space. But how's he going to be at the edge? How's he going to be at the end of the line, protecting Maye's backside? So far, it's a mixed bag. I mean, he's showing some good things, but he's also showing some rookie things. Now, can they get him? Look, this kid's not going to be a Pro Bowl left tackle. I just don't see it. I don't see that happening. I think he could be a Pro Bowl guard.
Well, you said to me after the game last week against the Commanders, you said, did you see him blocking downfield? Did you see the running game, whatever? And then you said, Mark, he's an all-pro left guard.
That's it. That's it. So for this year, can you get him to middle of the pack as a left tackle? That's a win.
With your coaching, Chris, with the coaches they have on this team, I think they can, Chris. And you're right. That'll be a win if they can do that. That'll be a win.
And they can protect him that way.
Wilson,
with chips and
Wilson eventually will kick over the center, and he's going to be a 10-year-old pro at center.
I love Wilson. I love that pick. I love that. I think that side of the line is going to be fine. So they'll protect
that the night of the draft. You love that. The night they drafted him, you said, oh, I love that pick, Mark.
Right. So they'll protect Will Campbell, and they'll do it with play calling and so on, and that's fine. It's still, don't get clean. Everybody's going to cling to that 4th pick. It needs to be the difference maker. Look, if they can make him a left tackle that he plays well and he's not costing you, fine. Then we see what happens after this year. Now, I want to talk about the running backs before we go to break. We'll come back with with wide receivers and defense on the other side. To me, on the offense, this is the most talented room out of this group.
Yes,
and this
absolutely.
And this is what we saw, Mark.
Antonio Gibson, number 4, back deep, and this ball's coming out.
Joe loved this. Loved this play.
Oh, there he goes.
There's your excitement, Joe. There's the stand. There's the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
It's already a new season. The number 2 draft pick from Ohio State takes it 100 yards.
Yeah. So that was, of course, Trevion Henderson taking the opening kickoff back 100 yards. Zolak was all fired up, and the McCourty brothers were fired up. But it's just an indication of that's the best room, isn't it? Talk about the running backs, Mark.
It is the best room. And Gibson, Chris, looked stronger, even more. Even I think Gibson, believe it or not, Chris, had a decent year last year, but I think he was banged up a lot and played injured. He looked healthy, fast, strong. As you said, the rookie, Henderson. Listen, Chris, this kid could turn out to be an absolute stud. Like, he could be one of the steals of the draft. You and I still think they should have taken Burden.
Luther Burden,
Luther Burden. But this kid Henderson, Chris, may turn out to be, if he turns out to be another Saquon
for the type of offense they run.
For the type of offense we're running and what we do, absolutely. And Stevenson didn't practice this week in the joint practice with the Vikings. I don't know what that's about. But Stevenson, Chris, didn't look bad. He lost some weight. He's faster. You know, those three guys, and then you're going to come up with a fourth guy. I think that fourth guy would have been the rookie Larison, who, you're right, reminds me of Burkhead, not just because of his number. He's somebody moving forward in the future, Chris, is going to be a major contributor here as well, this kid Larison. But the top three running backs, Chris, that's probably one of the best running back rooms in all of the league. The bottom, not just like one guy. I'm talking top to bottom.
You could tell that when Stevenson, though, came in, he kind of downshifted the momentum a little bit when he came in to when he plays. It seemed like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Let's see how they use the three of them and moving
Chris,
forward.
Were you surprised that this kid Henderson really does have that kind of speed?
No, I mean, it's as advertised. He has a 4.3 speed. You saw it there. I mean, I don't know how, you're going to see a lot more kick returns this year, so there'll be an asset there. Getting the ball. I was more impressed with that little swing pass that he took downfield where Campbell was blocking downfield. Yeah, it's electric. I mean, once he gets the ball in his hand, he has an explosion, and he goes to a different speed very quick. He
scored a touchdown, Chris, on a wheel route against Minnesota in the joint practices.
Yeah, it was a deep pass.
Deep pass and just ran by somebody. They couldn't stay with them one-on-one. So they are going to spread him out wide like they used to. You said this the other night to me. They're going to spread him out wide, Mark, like they used to do with White and Falk and Vereen and all those guys. They're going to spread him out wide, and they're going to, if you think you're going to cover him one-on-one, if you're going to cover him with a backer, a deep, a safety or a linebacker, he's going to run right by them, Chris.
Yeah, those explosive plays, they're going to try to catch the defense. Can I catch you on a one-on-one with a bag? You're a linebacker, you're going to know the ball's going there.
Oh, absolutely. So, and May's got to be smart enough to realize, okay, I got the mismatch. I got to get it to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, we'll see what happens. I want to go to break, come back, talk about the wide receivers. But this portion of Weekly Rewind was presented by Joe, the Pats Nation. Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Hey, tomorrow morning we're going to have a lot of more talk on this, same kind of stuff, but a lot more detail. So make sure you're tuning in for that. But we come back, want to talk wide receivers, want to talk a little defense as Weekly Rewind continues. No flipping.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone. Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England Field. All right, Mark, continuing on here. Let's talk about, and just briefly, I want to talk about the wide receiver because there wasn't much happening, which is a story in itself. So a lot of people, there's a lot of criticism right now of why don't we see anything in the preseason game? We didn't see a lot of passing from the starters. No wide receivers really caught a pass, the starting group, or, Pop Douglas and company, Booty, nothing until you got to the second half and that kind of thing. And it just, I don't have a problem with it because it seemed intentional by the coaching.
Yeah. And I think you've seen enough out of Booty in the joint practices. He had a good joint practice against Minnesota both days. Douglas had good joint practices. I think he struggled in the second joint practice against the Vikings, but he showed. Diggs showed. The guy who showed in the game, Chris, was Chisholm.
He did show, and
he's been showing in the joint practices too, Chris.
Oh, this is what Vrabel had to say about him.
Mike, it looked like Efton Chisholm got off to a good start tonight. What did you see from him that maybe stood out?
Well, I think his play strength stood out to me, from the sideline. I think the way that he blocks and, his ability to catch the ball in traffic. The ball was, basically tipped or bobbled, coming out of Ben's hand and kind of ran through a tackle and ran through contact, and then we threw him the screen. So those are all positive things. I think his play strength to me is what stood out.
His play strength. Who does that remind you of?
Yeah. Edelman.
Welker.
They got to figure out a way to keep this kid on this team.
Well, he's going to make the roster, Chris. I think he's going to be, even if it's, this week they also mentioned how he's been, special teams. He's been blocking, but the special teams coach was talking about him. So they're going to keep him on this team, Chris, even if it's like as a Slater, like a seventh guy. But there's no way, Chris, they're going to put him on waivers because
I just
he'll
don't
never
think he'll
make
clear.
it.
Yeah, I don't see
Oh,
that.
he'll never clear. He'll never clear. You have to keep him on this roster. He has to make the team.
No, and I don't think we're overstating it. We're not.
No.
I mean,
And
we said once he gets pads on, let's see how he is at the top of routes. Let's see if he's still getting separation and getting open. And he is consistently.
And Chris Bourne, we haven't seen him since that scrimmage, that Friday night scrimmage. Somebody rolled up on him. So who knows, Chris? He could end up on the PUP list the first 4
I think
weeks
Polk
anyway.
and Bourne end up on the PUP list regardless. Polk and Bourne are there, and I think Baker's going to end up getting cut. And I think you're going to see, I think it's going to be Diggs. I think it's going to be Douglas, Booty, Williams, Hollins. And I think it's going to be Chisholm with Bourne and Polk on the PUP. That's what I think is going to happen. That's 6 plus 2 on the PUP.
Yeah. And one interesting thing I just want to call out as we're on the wide receivers, and we'll dig more into this tomorrow.
Yeah, if this is about Diggs.
Yes.
Okay, because
tomorrow. Want me to hold it till tomorrow?
We have that. Let's play this and let's put a pin in it and tease this for tomorrow's show.
Okay.
This is what Downing had to say about.
Yes. Go ahead.
How confident are you at this point of preseason that he's going to be able to be the game changer that a lot of fans maybe are hoping he'll be at the beginning of the regular season?
I think where he's at in his process right now is where we want him to be. He's working hard when he's out there with his reps, and you see him making some plays. The big thing with him is understanding that we can't confuse results with the process. So if there's a day that he doesn't have a whole bunch of production, that doesn't mean he didn't do his job and get open.
Mark, listen, he hasn't, and that's why I want to put a pin in this, because I want to talk about the defense when we get to Catone's comments. But this is what I want to talk about tomorrow. So put this in your bank, okay? What the hell's going on with Diggs? Is this now round 2 of drama that you and I saw? What's next? Because why would is he bitching about touches already? He's not engaged. He hasn't talked to the media in weeks.
And I also want to talk about a quote I have from Diggs when I asked about his week 1 availability. And now all of a sudden, and we'll tease this for tomorrow, he's backing off. I'm going to be ready for week 1, much like you said would happen, Chris, but we'll get into it tomorrow.
Yeah, so stick around for the Pats Nation tomorrow. But kicking over to the defense, I want to talk about them really quick. Mark, they played some 5-man front. Okay, now I didn't see a lot of stuff out of them. There was a lot of things happening with them, But I will say, Tonga got on the. You and I were worried about how they're going to stop the run. Yeah. Okay, so in that Washington game, they played some 5-man, and when they had Tonga at the nose, because that's really a guy they got with size that can be a run stopper. Mm-hmm. Saw that happening. Yep. I don't know how I felt about that. But I can tell you that the speed from the linebackers, Spillane, and these guys, Ellis, coming and getting into the backfield, what I'm looking at is a front that's going to do a lot of holding up. They're going to use some of that because they know they're undersized. And it seems to me they're going to use a lot to hold up on that offensive line and allow their speedy linebackers to cut through gaps and make plays. Is that what you're seeing too?
Yeah, I think that's going to have to be their defensive strategy, Chris. I don't think they're going to have a choice. I think that's a very astute observation. I'll say this. Day 2 against the Vikings, they got gashed. The defensive line got gashed up and down the field, screen passes, running plays. So they didn't have a good day 2. The defensive line was called out specifically as having a poor day 2. I took that as they couldn't stop the run, Chris. And maybe the linebackers, I don't know, I don't know what happened with the linebackers, but you are 100% right. They're going to have to stand people up, and the linebackers are going to have to pursue to stop the run.
That's right. So, I mean, I've gone to
Other
bed
than
with better
Tonga,
thoughts.
you're right, Chris. What do they got for size in there?
They don't. And with the and what I'm also seeing is when they go nickel or dime, actually, they're bringing extra safety on the field, not a corner. So when 6 defensive backs, it's the safety playing in the box, and it's typically Peppers. But the last thing I'll do before we get to Catone's comments, listen to this cut about Duggar from Vrabel.
I think just making sure that he's where he needs to be and understanding that the coverage concepts and everything we do keep working and keep progressing. A lot of this is the guys that have earned a right to take a look with that first unit. And again, there'll be different lineups and different things, and it's a little just focus on the reps that you get. And right now that his attitude's been great, and he's had a long recovery in the off season. So just keep he's been out there and just continue to get better and work and
Yeah, so I'll forget the rest of it. But we heard enough of that. Duggar's got a problem.
You think Duggar gets released?
No, I think he gets traded.
Yeah, somebody will trade for him. That's a good point, Chris. Somebody will trade for him.
And you and I have been saying this about Duggar for how long? He can't cover.
Yeah.
I'm boxing. He and Peppers are the same guy. Who's playing free safety? It's going to have to be Hawkins, Epps, Olsen. That's it. That's the kind of style defense they're playing now. He doesn't fit. Duggar and Peppers don't fit.
Chris, but Duggar hasn't gotten reps with the ones.
Nope.
At all.
And you see the theme. Mike Vrabel is not in love with this roster, period. He's not in love with the veterans on this team, whether it's Strange, Duggar, Jennings, Stevenson, Levi, all the guys that got paid.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's not. Yeah, you're right. He doesn't like any of them.
Godchow at the time, not guys that he's high on at all.
No.
So pay attention. Pay attention. So, tomorrow in the Pats Nation, we're going to have a lot more for you. But Weekly Rewind was presented by Corso Law Group, CorsoLaw.com. Hey, we come back. I don't know. Let's see what he's got. Catone's Comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone Comments!
So last week, played the Commanders preseason game. Yeah, that's right. I got my Brady jersey on from the retirement ceremony. Listen, they do the statue, okay, it was a great night for everyone that was there. However, listen, so I got a bone to pick with this ceremony, and yeah, okay, they did the Hall of Fame ceremony. Okay, fine. They brought all these people back. I get it. Now they did the statue. Great, and all this is about is stroking Bob Kraft's ego. Okay, that's what that ceremony was about. Because Bob, you screwed up. Yes, you screwed up. You let the greatest player in the history of the game walk out your door, go to another franchise because you thought he was washed up, and win a Super Bowl with another franchise. You got egg on your face. You look like a complete fool. You listen to Bill. Bill was wrong. And then the last 2 years that he's here, Bill looks like he forgot how to coach football. So you really look like an idiot because you chose Bill over Tom, believing Tom was finished, Now all of a sudden you're kissing Tom's ass, you're kissing and making up, and you're calling him outside of my family. He's the most important person in my life. Are you kidding me, Mr. Kraft? Come on. You let the guy walk out the door. If that was true, the night that he went to your house to tell you he was leaving, what did you think he wanted from you? He wanted you to convince him to stay. Say, Tom, you're not leaving. Listen, we screwed this situation up. We know we did. We're going to fix it. What's it going to take? 50, 60, 70 mil? What's it going to take for you to stay here a couple of more years? We'll take care of Bill. What's it going to take? You can't leave, Tom. And you didn't do that. You let him walk out the door. Now, all of a sudden, you want to have these ceremonies for him and keep bringing him back and going back to the glory days. If I was Brady, I would have told you to screw. I wouldn't have, but financially, this is also obviously benefiting Tom, and Tom's about money. So, you got that whole image of number 12 and the body of number 12. And Tom is obviously profiting off of that, and the marketing of that, and the selling of those products, and the selling of those shirts, and all of that stuff that you've got in the pro shop with that imaging. He's obviously getting a good cut of that. That's why he's doing this for you. Trust me. So you're probably not going to see him here for quite a while now that that's over and done with, and he'll still get his profit from the merchandise that's being sold. But Mr. Kraft, you ought to be ashamed of yourself that you let the man walk out the door, and now all of a sudden you're gonna backpedal and kiss his ass because you screwed up and you listened to Belichick, who obviously started to lose it at the end. Just look at his teams. And look at what he did with the drafts and personnel in the personnel department. Maybe they'll erect a statue of Belichick in front of the bowling alley that's in Patriot Place. Maybe they'll put him in front of the bowling alley. They can throw bowling balls at him. I don't know, Chris. I don't know. Joe, you were there at the ceremony, weren't you?
I was there. In fact, we got a little teaser of what happened there. You guys want to check that out?
Welcome to this special celebration to the best fans in the NFL.
Thank you all for being here this evening as we honor and immortalize the legendary career of a sports icon, the greatest NFL player of all time.
The one, the only, Tom Brady. Look who's here looking like he just stepped off the pages of a Prada catalog.
He really put team first.
What a testimony to what sports means in New England and what Tom Brady means to this area.
I am Tom Brady, and I am a Patriot.
The first player in franchise history to receive this honor, Tom Brady.
I'm humbled to be here today with so many people who helped make this possible. I wouldn't be here without you all. Thank you. And the Patriots Nation, I can't put into words how much your support and your love meant to me. You showed up in the rain, in the snow, in 0-degree temperatures, and you earned every single one of these banners that fly above this stadium forever. But in the end, I know what this statue represents. It's not about one guy. It never is. It never has been. And I'm humbled and honored to have been part of this organization for 20 incredible years. You guys shaped my life and the life of my family, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you, New England. I love you. And let's get ready to kick off the 2025 NFL season. Let's go!
Joe, that's a great job, Joe. Nice job.
That was
nice
great,
work.
Joe. Good job.
You know,
A little teaser, little taste.
Listen, that was fantastic. Joe, group over there in Jag Media, putting something like that together. It looks fantastic. So let me ask you something. All his negativity, let's leave that for a minute. Okay. Stop talking bad about Belichick all the time. All you want to do is talk bad about Belichick, Oh, how about or with the little joke that Brady gave, like this.
Your team did an incredible job. Seriously, it is so accurate, so detailed. Hold on one sec. Hello? Really? Okay. Sorry, Jeff. That was Coach Belichick. He said there's still room for improvement. I know the feeling.
Oh, you can't. You got to bring up Bill. You couldn't let it go without bringing that in.
Well, every chance you get now, you hate the guy. So
I
listen.
don't hate the guy.
Oh, shut up.
Joe, he made the biggest blunder in the history of sports by letting number 12 walk out the door.
You're talking about Kraft? Kraft. Yeah, Kraft. Yes.
Kraft, yes. And he
talking
took
about
the advice.
Belichick.
He took the advice of the senile old man. That's what he did.
I gotta. This time around, Mark's point, this time around, I finally captured what he's been saying, and I finally kind of see, after watching that video or being there, the fact that, like, he can still make amends, but Belichick's still on the out. And so that means a little more reasoning as to why, and the potential that he was in his ear. Kraft made the decision, but pushed by Belichick.
Of course.
That's why there's such a rift, Chris.
Yeah.
Because I think the Krafts are embarrassed that they did that to Brady because they listened to Bill, and Bill was wrong.
Yeah, you know what though? Yeah, he was wrong. He was, but they'll never. And he was wrong, and a lot of us were wrong. But you know something? He'll never look in the friggin' mirror, though, will he? That's what pisses me off about the Krafts. He's never going to look in the goddamn mirror and put it on himself. He'll keep putting Apple thing after and video after video after video, putting the blame squarely on Belichick and say it's all on you. You're the friggin' owner of the team. You should have kept them here. I'm with you. I agree with your rant on Kraft today.
On Kraft,
absolutely, and I agree with it on Belichick. Belichick deserves to get beat up about Brady leaving too. But
Bill and Tom made up, Chris. They did make up. However they did it, they made up.
But onto the positive thing, and that, Joe, that was spectacular. And I know we're cutting into baseball, but that's okay.
Right. That was great. That was great. That was a great thing. You did great.
What do you think of? Are you okay with us cutting into baseball here? Because I want to talk
more about how much the Yankees suck.
Shut up. I want to talk more about the statue.
What an impressive statue.
You were there, okay? So you saw it live. Because let me give you my opinion on the statue itself. I was a little disappointed. Not disappointed in the it looks exact. If you look, a lot of times you look at these statues they make, and it doesn't look anything like the player. If you go down to Taylor in Washington, it's awful. It looks exactly like him. I mean, it's ridiculous. It looks exactly like Brady. Are you disappointed though that it doesn't capture his personality? Like it doesn't. It captures his personality in a sense of how stoic, serious, and determined he is, but not that "let's go" moment.
No, I agree with you. As an artist myself, I look at it, and me, as you guys well know, I always have notes. Anyways, but I was like, there's a million photos out there of Brady in the moment of victory, and it's not that one with the helmet off in the hand up. It's the hand up, but like you said, there's so many other shots that are like a plenitude out there that it's like you could have chose a better descriptive moment in his time on the field that encapsulates all of that. And I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, what do you think? What do you think of the statue itself? Yeah.
Well, the statue, Chris, definitely looks like him. It does capture his determination and like you said, Chris. But the "let's effing go" pose, right?
Yeah,
is kind of what made him iconic towards the end. And even even when he came out the day in the pouring rain, Chris. When they had that ceremony when he rung the bell. Remember we were at that Eagles game?
Yeah, yep.
Out of the tunnel, and he did. That's what he did when he came out of the tunnel. Remember? in the rain. And so you're right, Joe. Of all the photos and all the iconic thing, you could have probably caught something else. I mean, I think Joe's right. I would have probably look at the statue of Bobby Orr outside of TD Bank. That's the picture of him diving to the ice when they beat the St. Louis Blues, right?
Right.
In the Stanley Cup. That captures Bobby Orr.
Right.
The essence of Bobby Orr. This doesn't necessarily catch the essence of Brady.
Yeah, and it's a forever thing. So, the way I see it is we had one chance, one shot. And again, I'm not trying to put a damper on something that's, that we've never seen as Patriots fans. We've never seen anything like this. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to put a damper on it. I love the fact that they used all the numbers, all his stats, numbers, everything is represented in the stats, the height of it, the whatever.
Yep.
And I don't know, Joe. I mean, when you see it, right? The first time you saw it, did you get, when you see, again, it's never going to be the same. I'm comparing this, but when you see the Statue of Liberty for the first time, or you see something, you kind of get a feeling of, wow. Is that what you feel when you see it?
It was, I'll say this, that yes, when you get up close to it and you see that, wow, it does really look like him, because I've seen some other, even like Peyton Manning, if you look at his, is terrible, his statue. And it's one of those things where you're like, oh, at least they nailed that. And I think that, like you said, the fact that they followed all those numbers, I think that kind of limits the artist to be able to kind of do what we just talked about.
Yeah.
But when you get there and you see it, you're like, wow, this thing, I mean, it's 17 feet tall. It's huge. And it's
the statue from him itself is 12 feet.
12 feet.
And then with the base. Yeah.
17 feet. And it's and it's when you get up, like I said, from afar, not so much. It's kind of like seeing Statue of Liberty from way far away when you're, we're traveling in, going by Giants Stadium and getting towards the harbor that way. And it's too far away where it's small, but you don't get it until you get close and you're like, holy cannoli, that thing is, it's a gift, and it's nice to see that in the front of the stadium,
I can't wait to when I go to the game, with my son this year, Chris. I can't wait to see it up, like Joe said. I want to see it up close and personal to say, okay, what we're talking about right, or is it different when you're in front of it in person and you really get to see it? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to see that. But you are right, Chris. Remember the first time, and I know it's not a statue, but do you remember the first time you walked into Monument Park?
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
It's
just a feeling that you get the minute and I'm sure over time, the further we get away from him, the more people will feel that when they see it. But
it matters.
So I don't want to down it until I see it in person. The iconic "Let's Go," that would have had to have been done with the helmet on. And maybe they just didn't want to have a helmet on.
Yeah.
They wanted to show his face. But I will say it does capture the personality of Brady in the sense of determination, drive, that stoic, let's go to work, boys. You know what I mean? Let's get to work today. Yeah. So, it would be nice to see someday another one there on the other side of him. Maybe he'll have to be in between he and Kraft. If they do two other statues of Brady and of Kraft and Belichick, it'll put Brady in between them to keep them away from each other. I think,
I think the fact that it was just done and just revealed, and the fans all around taking pictures, kind of takes you out of it for a second because you're just trying to look at, but you're trying to not step in front of somebody's photo, and so that all that kind of combined, it was a little bit jarring for me. But just to stand there close up and see it, it's wow, that's amazing. It is.
Well, good job. Good job. We got to go. But good job, Joe. Excellent work over there capturing that for us. We certainly appreciate that. We didn't get the baseball today. We'll get to it next week. But Corso and Catone was presented by the Pats Nation Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. We're going to have that breakdown of the preseason games, everything we talked about today, but in more detail. So stick around for that. And come back next weekend, noon Eastern. We're going to talk more Pats camp, Yank Sox, Catone's comments, anything you bring to the table. We will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now find Corso Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.